The comms officer's voice cut out mid-sentence. Commander Vrax narrowed his obsidian black eyes at the holofeed, watching as static swallowed the final image. An exterior shot of the Council Patrol vessel * Ilionari star. One frame showed empty stars, and in the next, the ship spun in eerie silence. Then, nothing. Total blackout. No explosion. No distress beacon. No trace. Replay it. Vrax barked. The feed rewound. They watched again. Frame by frame. Nothing out of place until a blurred distortion sliced across the view like a ripple in space. Too fast for the sensors. Too deliberate for an accident. Enhance Sector 12, he ordered. The AI complied. The blur resolved into a vague shimmer, bipedal, low to the ground, almost insectoid in posture. It darted, vanished, reappeared behind the vessel's port engine, and then vanished again. Before Vrax could demand further analysis, the holofeed fractured into meaningless code. No known species moves like that, he muttered. Chancellor Korzul's voice boomed through the high chamber. Another ghost tale from the humans, I suppose. He sneered, his ridged brow furrowing with exaggerated disdain. Their planet is filled with pests and poisons, and they love pretending their animals are gods of war. The council chamber erupted in low, condescending laughter. Vrax remained silent, studying the final frames. They don't follow logic, he said softly. That makes them dangerous. Unrefined, Korzul corrected. Savages with toothpicks and noise. Savages that destroyed 2 of our outposts and made it look like weather anomalies. Coincidence. Or sabotage from inside. Earth doesn't possess the reach. They don't need reach, Vrax replied, when they are already inside the cracks. On the far side of the galaxy, aboard a ship with no official name, Captain Rhys Maddox stared through a cold observation panel. Earth's sun was a faint glow in the distance now, just another yellow flicker among billions. Around him, the quiet hum of the Havoc-class Phantom stealth ship was the only sound. No crew chatter, no alarms, just silence, discipline, and the weight of what he'd agreed to do. He hated Creo, hated the way it made his joints ache and his thoughts feel like wading through mud. But when the Earth Defense Directorate pulls you out of deep freeze, it's never for check-in. Logan Price leaned against the console, picking grime from beneath his fingernails with a utility blade. They say the Ilionari went dark 2 cycles ago. No signal. No debris. Another bug in their system, Eli Grant said from across the room. The young tech specialist adjusted his glasses, fingers twitching nervously. Or maybe the ship AI hit an error. Council tech's not half as bulletproof as they pretend. It wasn't a bug, Rhys muttered. I've seen the playback. That was deliberate. Surgical. Human. Logan whistled low. Ours. Rhys turned, eyes sharp. Doesn't matter. Council thinks it was. That gives us space to move. Eli swallowed. You think they'll retaliate? They already are. Rhys pulled up a data packet sent before his cryo sleep ended. They've deployed Task Force Purity along the outer rings. Started building pressure along the unclaimed systems. Diplomatic embargoes. Surveillance drones. They're coiling up. And we're the venom, said Logan, grinning. Rhys didn't smile. He tapped the console, and a new feed lit the room in pale green light, top-down schematics of a council-controlled comm station buried beneath the crust of a red dwarf moon. Strategic, invisible to most scans, vital for coordinating council fleet movement in 3 sectors. Our mission is simple, Rhys said. Get in. Break the spine of their network. Let them chase shadows while we prepare the strike they won't see coming. Eli stared. Is this sanctioned? Rhys nodded slowly. By Earth? Absolutely. By the Council? His voice dropped into a whisper. We don't care. Ty Vickers stepped out of the shadows, his massive frame casting a long silhouette across the floor. And if we get caught? Then we make them regret it, Rhys said. Because we're not playing by their rules anymore. Logan chuckled. We never were. The ship's lights dimmed as stealth mode engaged. Outside, the stars began to shift, blurred into stretched lines as the ship slipped into phase drift. They were ghosts now, untouchable, untraceable. In the tactical bay, Rhys stared at the emblem stenciled on the wall. A stylized honey badger, teeth bared, claws extended. It was a joke, once. A meme. A symbol of recklessness. Now, it was doctrine. He remembered the day he first saw one. Back in training, years ago, watching wildlife footage from Earth's old biospheres. A creature so small, so absurdly aggressive, it attacked lions. Survived snake venom. Burrowed through cages. It didn't win because it was the strongest. It won because it didn't know when to stop. That, Reese had thought, is how humans survive. He'd modeled his tactics after that. Unpredictable, relentless, chaotic. The council had noticed, but too late. They had laughed. Now they would learn. Begin deployment, Reese said. The team scattered into motion. Eli tapped into local comm arrays, hijacking satellite signals. Ty loaded microfusion warheads into Grave launch tubes. Logan assembled a swarm of AI microdrones, new models coded with erratic patterns that imitated predator behavior, feints, lures, ambushes. At the center of it all stood Reese. Calm, focused, dangerous. The comms pinged once. Eli raised his head. We've intercepted a council encrypted burst. They are preparing to tighten control over Earth sectors. They are calling it preemptive pacification. Logan smirked. They always talk nice before they start shooting. Reese's voice was low. Let them come. Outside, the darkness of space seemed to lean closer, hungry. The stealth ship slipped past sensors, cut through gravity wells, and settled silently beneath the crust of the moon. The team moved like phantoms. No words, no light, just intent. Inside the council facility, alarms didn't even get a chance to sound. Lights blinked, cameras fuzzed, and then the only thing heard was static and something scratching against the steel walls. The mission log would later be corrupted, the records wiped. Survivors, if any, would speak of glimpses, growls, movements they couldn't trace. Back aboard the ship, as the team exfiltrated, Reese uploaded a simple message into the council network. It wasn't a threat. It was a warning. You ignored Earth's tactics. That ends now. The final shot, Reese standing in the shadows of the ship's hold, helmet under one arm, as the camera zoomed in on the honey badger emblem painted across his chest. Then silence, just like before. But this time, the galaxy would notice. The drop ship shuddered as it exited the dark side of the red dwarf moon, slipping silently through clouds of Ione-ized dust. Inside, the team sat in dim red light, helmets off, weapons primed, eyes scanning readouts that flickered like fireflies across the cabin. Reese Maddox leaned forward, elbows on his knees, gaze locked on the floor as if trying to see through it. The quiet hum of the engines gave way to a softer sound, the precise tapping of Eli Grant's fingers on his datapad. Ty Vickers checked his fusion cutter's charge while Logan Price cleaned his sidearm for the third time, whistling a broken melody. We're not ghosts anymore, Eli murmured. They'll be tracking us the second we break comm silence. Good, Reese said. Let them look. They'll send everything they have, Ty added, his deep voice like gravel. No point in hiding. Who's hiding? Logan asked, a grin spreading across his scarred face. We're just giving them a head start. The red lights turned blue. The signal. Reese stood, his armor locking into place with practiced precision. Full suits. No logos. No serials. You leave nothing behind, he ordered. One by one, the team moved with mechanical efficiency. This wasn't their first deep strike. It wouldn't be their last. Reese watched them. Logan was quick and unpredictable, too clever for his own good, but dependable in a firefight. Eli, youngest of them, socially awkward, but his code tore through council firewalls like paper. Ty had once fought in orbital arenas, a brutal ex-soldier turned engineer who could rig explosives out of air filters and prayer. Dale Morgan wasn't with them now, off providing overwatch from a sniper nest half a mile out, but Reese knew Dale's crosshairs were already searching for targets. Each man, in his own way, embodied the spirit Reese had cultivated, aggressive, smart, and untamed. The hatch opened. Lunar air hissed in. The facility loomed ahead, mostly subterranean, protected by thermal shields and AI sentries that Reese had already infected with logic glitches 3 days prior. Their entrance was a maintenance tunnel, forgotten by the architects, remembered by Reese. Inside, the world was silence and shadow. The team moved like predators through a sleeping jungle, no words, only motion. Reese took point, leading them down narrow corridors lined with humming walls and flickering power lines. No alarms yet. No resistance. Then a flicker, motion on the scanner. Contact, East Corridor, Eli whispered. Just one. Alive? Reese asked. Eli nodded. Biosign confirmed. Council officer. Reese made a subtle gesture. Logan peeled off to intercept. Seconds later, a dull asterisk thump asterisk echoed through the vents. Reese didn't flinch. Continue. Within 6 minutes, they reached the data core. Ty got to work setting charges while Eli breached the command interface, sweat beading on his forehead as he typed at blinding speed. They routed data loops through sublevels. It's messy. Council tech's built like a palace but wired like a madhouse, Eli muttered. Translation. Logan asked, returning from the kill. I'm in. Reese turned to Ty. Timer. 7 to 5 seconds. Reese activated his visor, streaming the corrupted footage they'd stolen earlier, the one from the asterisk Ilionari star. He played it on a loop while Eli uploaded their own version into the Council's active surveillance grid. It was a laid message. Symbolic, surgical. I don't get it, Eli said quietly. Why use the footage? They won't trust it, Reese said. That's the point. Doubt breeds faster than Faye. The clock ticked down. Reese gave a final glance at the humming core, then turned to leave. The team followed. No hesitation. As they ascended toward the surface tunnel, Eli slowed beside Reese. Sir, he began. Why the honey badger? Reese paused. His expression didn't change, but his voice softened. Because it fights like it's already dead. Because it doesn't know Faye. Because it never stops. That's the message. But we're not animals. No, Reese said. We're was. We know exactly what we're doing. They cleared the facility's perimeter just as the explosives detonated below. A muted quake shook the surface, a deep vibration that turned into a muffled roar underground. Within moments, the satellite feed over 3 sectors went dark. The Galactic Council's coordination grid blinked offline, replaced with a looping message. Reese's voice, distorted but clear. Your systems are compromised. Your arrogance was your weakness. You ignored Earth's tactics. That was your last mistake. Dale's voice crackled in through comms. Nice fireworks. Extraction point secure. They boarded the Phantom in silence. No cheers. No celebration. Just the weight of knowing that what they'd just done would draw blood. The ship re-entered stealth drift, leaving behind only smoke, scrambled code, and the knowledge that Earth wasn't hiding anymore. Back in the ops room, Reese pulled off his helmet and looked at his team. Ty leaned against a bulkhead, arms folded. Logan had his boots up, munching on a ration bar like they'd just finished a training sim. Eli stared at the floor, his fingers twitching, processing everything they'd just done. We don't get medals for this, Reese said. No flags. No songs. What we do, what we are, doesn't fit their rules. We exist in the blind spots. Ty nodded. And when we strike, they never see it coming. Eli looked up. They'll call us terrorists. Good, Logan said with a grin. Means it's working. Reese didn't laugh. He just stared out the viewport, eyes fixed on a distant star. They think the war hasn't started yet. That Earth's still negotiating. Still posturing. He clenched a fist. They're wrong. The comms console pinged. A new alert. High priority. Unauthorized movement detected in Sector Epsilon 9. Council patrols vanishing. Civilian reports of mechanical creatures tearing through listening posts. Rumors of coordinated strikes from systems Earth wasn't even supposed to know existed. Reese read the report, then smiled for the first time in days. The Honey Badger Protocol wasn't a tactic anymore. It was an infection, and it had just begun to spread. Council Command's war room pulsed with cold light and quiet tension. Dozens of alien advisors, analysts, and senior officers stood in a half-circle around a single holomap displaying 3 sectors, flickering red where entire comm grids had gone dark. A 4th red icon pulsed slowly near the outskirts of the Ceres corridor. Silence pressed like gravity on the room until Chancellor Corzul slammed his clawed hand down on the table. This is no longer a containment issue, he hissed, mandibles flaring. This is a war. Commander Vrax didn't flinch. It always was. You simply refused to call it that. Another council general scoffed. Earth has no fleet. No sanctioned army. Their tactics violate every clause in the Interstellar Conduct Accords. Which is why they are winning, Vrax snapped. He pointed to the scattered red zones. They use misdirection, sabotage, proxy conflicts, methods born of desperation and perfected through centuries of planetary conflict. You keep expecting soldiers. What they've sent are predators. Korzul turned to Vrax, eyes narrowing. Then hunt them. Root them out. I want Earth's insurgents captured and dragged before the tribunal before the next orbital cycle ends. Vrax's voice was low, cold. No, you want them erased. And for that, I'll need my own methods. Korzul gave a grudging nod. Vrax turned and left the chamber. Outside, the hangar roared with activity. Elite troopers in white exosuits prepped boarding crafts. Synthetic war beasts, artificially grown hunter units, paced in reinforced crates. At the far end stood a black Corvette unlike any other. Its armor was lined with signal-reflective plating and its hull bore no insignia. Task Force Purity was operational. On-board Earth stealth ship, Ty Vickers knelt beside a cracked plasma coil, hands stained with coolant and soot. That last drop nearly tore the core apart, he muttered, slamming the panel closed. Reese watched him from the command platform, arms crossed. Think it was a tracker? No ping, but it felt intentional, Ty said, like someone knew we'd be there. Logan spun a chair lazily at the nav station. Council's changing tactics. Less reaction, more precision. Vrax is likely in play now. Eli nodded without looking up from his console. Confirmed. I intercepted an encrypted packet. Vrax is leading something called Task Force Purity. Experimental tech. Synthetic units. No rules of engagement. Reese's eyes narrowed. So they are learning. Not fast enough, Logan smirked. We are still 2 systems ahead of their patrols. But that lead's shrinking, Eli added. Reese turned to the hologlobe on the central console and rotated it. Then we give them bait. What kind of bait? Ty asked, straightening. We let them find us. Logan blinked. You're serious? Reese didn't answer. Instead, he brought up the specs of an abandoned lunar facility, a maze-like structure originally built by an extinct mining corporation. One way in. Dozens of concealed exits. Heavy radiation pockets. Plenty of places to hide. Eli, you'll spoof our signature just long enough for their trackers to latch on. Risky, Eli muttered. Necessary, Reese replied. We want Vrax. We want to see what he's deploying. And we want to rip it apart in front of him. Ty smiled darkly. Trap them like they've been trying to trap us. Reese nodded. But we don't just kill them. We break their confidence. The plan was in motion within hours. By nightfall, Council sensors pinged a high-priority Oath stealth signal deep within Epsilon 9. Vrax received the intel aboard his Corvette and immediately gave the order. Deploy full squad. No orbital strikes. I want them hunted, cornered, and torn apart. The drop zone was lit by Council flares, brilliant blue strobes cascading through the dense moon fog. Synthetic hunters leapt from their carries, sniffing for trace heat signatures, claws sinking into loose soil. They moved in total silence, obeying Vrax's command through neural link. Inside the labyrinth, Reese watched from a narrow crawl space, HUD tracking dozens of heat signatures. He tapped his comm twice, signaled to begin. Logan's voice came through first, engaging first dummy node. A mechanical screech echoed through the tunnel as a false signal relay exploded, sending Council forces veering left. Seconds later, Ty activated a pressure chamber that funneled radiation through a narrow vent, disorienting their internal sensors. The synthetic beast screeched and scattered. Eli dropped 2 jamming grenades from the ceiling vents. The hunters stumbled, AI logic fractured by chaotic signal bursts. One of them charged blindly and collided with a mine Ty had embedded beneath loose tiles. Shrapnel cut through its metallic flesh. The blast lit the tunnel like lightning. Council troops screamed. Reese moved like a shadow, neutralizing 2 soldiers with a fluidity that betrayed decades of fieldwork. Knife, elbow, boot, precision, brutality. Meanwhile, Dale Morgan, silent and distant, picked off Council officers one by one from a sniper perch outside the facility. His shots echoed like thundercracks through the narrow canyon. Each hit was fatal. Each delay allowed the rest of the team to move deeper into the trap. Then Vrax entered. Tall, armored in obsidian black with a skull-like helmet, he stepped into the central chamber with 2 bodyguards and a towering synthetic war beast at his side. His voice echoed, amplified by his suit. "I know you're watching, Maddox. Enough games. Step forward. Face me." Reese did. He walked out from the shadows, weapon slung, face uncovered. Calm, defiant. "Still think we're pests?" he asked. "You're cowards," Vrax growled, "hiding in shadows. And you," Reese said, "are standing in a minefield." Vrax looked down too late. The floor erupted beneath him. Not enough to kill, but enough to separate him from his guard. His war beast lunged, but Reese activated a sonic pulse that scrambled its command link. The creature spasmed, turned, and lashed out at its own handler. Chaos unfolded. In the confusion, Reese tackled Vrax. The two crashed through a service door and into the lower tunnels. Fists, elbows, knees. Vrax fought like a warrior. Reese fought like a beast. The council commander's strikes were clean, practiced. But Reese was relentless, dirty, cunning. He threw dust, used pipes, targeted joints. When Vrax slammed him against a wall, Reese drove a hidden blade into the armor seam behind his knee. The commander fell. Reese stood over him, blood trickling down his face. "You want war, Vrax? This is it. No treaties, no trials, just us." Vrax hissed, barely conscious. "You're a monster." "No," Reese said. "I'm human." He left Vrax bleeding, alive but broken, and disappeared into the tunnels as council reinforcements arrived too late. By the time they resecured the site, Earth's team was gone. Only a single message remained, burned into the wall with a plasma torch. Asterisk asterisk, the honey badger leads. The hunt has turned. Asterisk asterisk. Far above, the stealth ship watched in silence. And somewhere in the dark, Earth prepared its next move. The Council warships formed a wall of light and steel in orbit above Alios Prime, the jewel of the outer colonies. With its vast training academies and fleet foundries, the planet was the nerve center of Council military command. Ships moved in rigid, perfect patterns, predictable, proud, confident in their superiority. And Earth was done hiding. Inside the stealth vessel asterisk Phantom asterisk, Reese Maddox stared at the holographic layout of the defense grid. Each blinking dot represented a patrol, each line a blind spot. His eyes didn't blink, didn't stray. Every ounce of his attention was fixed on the gaps, their entrances. "All right," Reese said quietly. "We go in loud." Logan raised an eyebrow. "Since when do we go in loud?" "Since they think we're only ghosts," Reese answered. "Time they heard the roar." Ty Vickers let out a low chuckle. "About damn time." Eli stood at the tactical station, his fingers flying over the console. "I've seeded the network. Their comms will loop the moment we breach atmosphere. They'll see the wrong coordinates, the wrong numbers, until it's too late." Reese nodded. "Dale." From the overhead monitor, Dale's calm voice came through. "Sniper drone grid deployed. They'll walk right into their own crossfire." "Logan." "Rage Pack's got boots ready. Volunteers from 4 rogue colonies. They've been waiting for a green light for weeks." Reese took a deep breath. "Then we give it to them. We strike hard, fast, and surgical. This isn't about destruction, it's about exposure. We make sure the entire galaxy watches them fall apart in real time." The plan was simple. Overload their confidence. Cripple their communications. Make their elite forces panic. And then, in the chaos, target the planetary defense AI core controlled from the spire at the heart of the Citadel on Alios Prime. The asterisk Phantom asterisk decloaked 30 kilometers from the surface. Reese's squad wasn't alone. Dozens of ships, irregular and mismatched, blinked into view behind them. Civilian freighters retrofitted for war. Pirate haulers now carrying human commandos. Earth's forgotten rose from the void. The Council's first response was hesitation. Then panic. Orbital cannons lit up the sky. Chatter flooded their channels, garbled, distorted, overwritten by Eli's virus. Patrols chased ghosts. Orders contradicted themselves. Defense towers began firing at friendly ships caught in sensor misreads. As chaos erupted, Reese and his team dove into Alios's upper atmosphere in freefall pods. Fire licked the edges of the black sky. Clouds burned. The pods hit hard, slicing through the spire's upper shell. The team emerged in a storm of smoke and shattered glass. Reese led the charge through the corridors. Council guards reacted too slowly, accustomed to staged drills and sanitized wars. Ty's shoulder rammed the doorway open. Logan lobbed a magnetic charge that fused their reinforcements' weapons to the walls. Eli split off to the command hub, Jack in port trailing behind him like a tail. "Give me 60 seconds," Eli said, sweat already beading. "You have 30," Reese replied, moving forward without hesitation. They cut their way through the internal defense corridor, suppressors engaging automatically, suits absorbing most kinetic fire. Logan took a graze to the ribs and grinned. "Barely tickled." "Means they are desperate," Reese muttered. Through the armored blast doors, the AI core chamber loomed, a sphere suspended above a field of plasma. The neural heart of the planetary grid. Before they could reach it, the final obstacle stepped forward, Vrax. Clad in reforged battle armor, the Council commander stood tall, weapon humming with kinetic force. "I told them you'd come," Vrax growled. "Even now, they don't believe you're real." Reese handed his rifle to Ty. "That's because they still think in straight lines." He stepped forward alone. The chamber echoed with the sound of armored boots, the charged silence before the storm. Vrax launched first, his blade a blur. Reese ducked low, swept his leg. But the alien recovered fast. They moved like predators, one refined, one primal. Metal clashed, sparks flew. Vrax fought with honor, precision. Reese fought like the creature that inspired him. Ruthless, unrelenting. He used the environment, walls, loose floor panels, debris. He took a cut to the shoulder, but twisted with the pain, driving his fist into Vrax's chestplate. The commander staggered, but countered with a brutal elbow. "Why won't you yield?" Vrax spat. "Because you never listened," Reese hissed. "Because you mocked us. Because you left us no choice." He headbutted Vrax, then slammed him against the base of the core. Sparks rained down. Vrax raised his weapon for the killing blow, but froze. Behind him, the holographic feed blinked to life. The entire Galactic Council chamber was watching. Eli's voice crackled through. "Broadcast channels open. Sir. Whole galaxy sees it." Vrax turned, realization blooming in his eyes. Reese struck. One last blow sent Vrax crashing backward into the plasma field barrier. He convulsed, armor sparking, then collapsed. Reese turned to the live feed. Blood smeared his jaw. Smoke coiled behind him. "We're not vermin," he said into the camera. "We're survivors. You underestimated Earth because we don't fight the way you do. But we never needed your approval. We needed you to fear us. And now, you do." The feed cut. From orbit, Council ships disengaged in disarray. Several civilian worlds announced their independence within the hour. The Aelio's command net fell silent. Reese and his team stood at the summit of the ruined citadel, wind ripping through shattered walls. They had done what no one believed possible. Not just a victory, but a statement. Logan lit a cigar with a plasma torch. So what now? Reese stared into the stars, where Council banners had once flown without challenge. "Now we lead." Ty folded his arms. "The Honey Badger leads." And across the galaxy, from military barracks to resistance hideouts, one symbol began to appear again and again, scratched into walls, painted on ships, etched into armor. A snarling face. Claws raised. The Honey Badger had arrived, and the galaxy would never forget it.